glue it down in place on.
Please stand by.
Hey, the Norlander here. I am about to get into another project for the FJ60. I'm making a new tailgate cover on the back. I've got right now this old one that was stock. I'm going to use this as a template, and then I'm going to build a new one. I don't want to put carpet back on it, so I want something that's a little bit more rugged. So I'm going to build a tailgate cover out of some plywood and some cut up skateboards. First step is I made a template out of wood with the OEM wooden tailgate piece or particle board. This is going to be the platform for me to mount these square skateboard pieces to. So cue the time lapse. Okay, so now I got the basic pattern laid out. Next step is to go through and systematically glue it down in place, and then we'll create a border around here, dump epoxy all across it, and then we'll cut it to shape and install it. Okay, I got all the skateboard tiles laid down and glued down on the first layer onto the plywood. So I think the best thing to do is put these sandbags on here until the skateboard tiles dry. So it's the next day and I came back and I took a look at the glue as it had dried and set, and I was a little disappointed because it foamed out. Looks like I used the wrong glue for this. I probably should have used some sort of construction adhesive or epoxy. What do you think of Dad's project?
Yeah, I'm touching Dad's project.
Yeah. Did you think it turned out okay?
Yeah.
So it looks like I'm gonna have to scrape off these little foaming pieces of the glue that came out of the seams here, and then probably do a fine sanding. Little setback, but I think it will end up being unnoticeable. Okay, so what did I do? And then I put these cardboard liners around where I want the epoxy to go so that it doesn't drip out on the floor and doesn't drip out all over the place and stays where it should be. My goal is to get maybe an 1/8 inch layer epoxy filling in a bunch of these little cracks that are down in here. It didn't, some of these tiles didn't fit perfectly in here, because they're from a skateboard. They're curved and bent, and And I think that's what gives it the character. Okay, I'm going to use very precise measurements, meaning I'm just going to dump them in so they look about 50-50, which is what the instructions say to use. I'm using this Pro Marine epoxy, tabletop epoxy with hardener. I'm going to use that to help me stir the epoxy. Whoops. I don't think this is going to be enough. Doing a little brush coat here before they require the flood coat. Alright, so that should be enough. I'm going to definitely need more. I better mix up the rest of it because this ain't going to be enough. But use the heat gun to eliminate the bubbles. Okay, so I've done a few passes with the heat gun, and anybody who's done this before, you know that the bubbles kind of keep coming over a period of time, so I'm just going to keep at that. So a little bit's happened since the last cut. I applied a second coat of the epoxy flood. It's going to be good to go. There are a couple of imperfections. A little bug that flew in and landed on it, so I'm going to try to figure out how to fix that. But the rest of it is looking pretty good. The colors turned out pretty vibrant on this board, and now the only challenge really is to cut it out in the appropriate size. There's a few little pieces of the puzzle that need to come together in order to make this work fully. Okay, we are at the last step here. I got it all cut out and shaped and the holes drilled. I used a countersink bit and these tapered stainless steel bolts. And so they'll just fit right in there and be nice and flush. Now we're ready to go install it in the truck. Just a couple of notes about the finished product here. It is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. There are a couple of air bubbles in it. There's a spot where a gnat landed on the surface and got stuck in the epoxy. There is a little drizzle drip from some other epoxy that I was putting on it. I'm just gonna leave it because it's a one-off work of art. It's gonna get put to use. It's gonna get stepped on, scraped, damaged, and whatnot. I'm putting it on the back of the truck because I want to make it unique and I want to make it look different than everybody else. I want it to be functional and I want it to be durable, and I think if you take a look at all of that, I accomplished that with this build.